And so we have with us today Miss Joyce Wade, who she and I go way back.
Anybody that's interested in healthcare would have an opportunity to come into the CNA program.
Right after they're finished with their training, they get hired right on the spot, right,
Exactly.
Joyce? Yeah.
Yes. So essentially, you're getting free training. And virtually everybody that comes goes through the scholarship program.
Right.
You know, you don't have debt right out of the gate.
So privileged to be able to take an existing program with a church, and they weren't able to do the program anymore, and we kind of took it underneath our umbrella. Are you buying all the textbooks and setting up all the IT
Started
for
it on
them?
ground level.
And so I know this has to be something you're super proud of.
We're joined by Mary Beth.
Every single community has its own personality, its own feel, its own culture.
You know, it's funny because if a family is having an issue, 9 times out of 10, I already know about that issue. But then I'll get this email like, I just needed you to be aware.
Yes.
And I'm like, I've already been aware.
Yes, and she may repeat the same favorite shirt a few times in that week.
We just got to wash it more often.
And that's okay. We wash it more often. We return it so that she can wear it
Right.
3 or 4 days a week because that's what makes her happy.
Right. Around the table with Vickie. Just like gathering around the dinner table with loved ones and friends, we're here to share stories, insight, and inspiration.
Well, hello, everyone. We hope you're having a beautiful day, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Around the Table with Vickie. You know the drill. I'm your co-host, Chris Runk, and it's her show, Vickie Runk.
Oh, my goodness. He makes it sound so grand. Hello, everybody. I'm very glad to be here today on this very important episode.
And speaking of health, today we've been hearing from some local listeners, and they're really enjoying these split mini series where we're putting as much information as we can out. And we will be talking about 2 topics related to the healthcare field. And one of them, right off the get-go, is tied to our company, Runk and Pratt, but probably something that maybe folks don't know we offer, but it's extremely crucial to our program, and that is the Runk and Pratt School of Nursing Instruction.
That's right. And it is so important to what we do. As many of you know, anybody that's dealt with healthcare, we've been in a shortage for caregivers since 2020. And so we began to find ways that we could fix that problem internally. And so we have with us today Miss Joyce Wade, who she and I go way back to 1988. I walked into the door one day at what it used to be Camelot Hall Nursing Home, and she was the director of nursing. And she and I served together for 5 years in nursing home care. I was the social worker who was constantly in her office asking all kinds of questions. And she was gracious enough to really, I have to say this, Christopher, and I mean it with all genuineness of my heart. She taught me so much of what I know clinically.
Oh, my.
And it's so true, though. I mean, I remember trying to figure out all those abbreviations. What is an ADL? What does PRN mean? And I didn't have much nursing experience, but boy, after 5 years with Joyce, I could go toe-to-toe and head-to-head with any doctor now because of the education that you gave me about geriatric care. So welcome to the show today.
Thank you.
And let's let our listeners and viewers, many of you know we do a podcast at the same time we're doing our radio recordings, and some of you need to hop on over so they can see us in person. You can see this beautiful lady sitting on the couch with me. Let's talk a little bit about the need for the Runk and Pratt CNA School of Nursing Instruction and how much it's blossomed and grown just since the time you've been here.
Right. So the program really offers a lot of diversity for individuals who maybe are still in high school and they want to get a CNA so that they can graduate with that already being certified. We work with those individuals as well as folks that maybe are a little bit later in life.
Yeah.
Maybe you already have a career path, but you want to change. So we offer classes in the evening so that students that are going to school during the day, they have the opportunity to take a class in the evening, as well as somebody that's working full-time would be able to go to classes in the evening. We also offer daytime classes. So there's many opportunities. You can come in person, you can do online. So we try to offer a variety so that anybody that's interested in healthcare would have an opportunity to come into the CNA program.
Yeah, and I can't tell you how many times a week that I'm stopped in a store or wherever I am in the community, and people will say, "You know what, Vickie? I really thought about getting into caring for the seniors, but I don't want to go for a full LPN degree. I don't want to go get an RN or the nurse practitioners, and we can just keep going because it's
Exactly.
flying these
Yes.
days on ways that we can care for people." And I always direct them back over here to you guys, because if you've got a caring heart and someone that's a lot of patience, and you really just enjoy the geriatric population in general, we've got a place for you.
Exactly. So we offer the personal care aid. That's just 40 hours. Usually you can finish that in 2 weeks. We do try to limit the amount of time that we offer in a week so that you're not bombarded. You still have time for life, and then you've got an opportunity to work in these classes maybe 2 days a week, 3 days a week, but it doesn't take up your whole time. Then we offer that nurse aid program that's 140 hours, and that includes your classroom, your skills lab practice, as well as going to a clinical location so that you can practice your skills and have some interaction with the residents. Make sure this is really what you want to do. It's really what you thought it was. And then we also offer the registered medication aid class. That's something you can do once you finish the 40-hour or the 140-hour class. You can pursue the medication aid class.
And that's kind of the top tier
It is.
for this whole PCA, CNA.
Yes.
And then to go to an RMA, which those are all abbreviations for personal care aid, certified nursing assistant, and registered medication aid.
That's right.
And that is really the top tier. And I know years ago you and I talked, and I said, I can see, where we're headed towards that. And then voila, here we are today.
Exactly.
And that's basically for that individual that has a little higher goal for herself. She's going to make more. She's going to make the most in our industry.
Exactly.
When it comes to that whole CNA, PCA, RMA scheme there. She's going to make the most. And she's also going to have the flexibility of choosing what part of that job she wants to do along with passing medication.
Exactly.
Would you have?
Well, I know a big part of setting up the program was you wanted to be able to give staff members a way to better themselves, to continue to grow, not just come in and be stuck at one level or have to go out and get addition. Now you can offer that. We can offer that to our staff members.
Yeah, I mean, some of our RMA wages can go anywhere from, a beginner of $15.50 an hour, and some of them can soar if the longevity in the company can go well over $18 an hour, which is a really going back to where we started years ago, where those little girls that were working so hard every day, giving care, and they were in that $7-8 range. I mean, and Christopher's right. I used to always just talk about, I wish we had a ladder for these girls to be able to climb. And now here it is right in front of us. And now when the CNAs come to us and they say, well, I need to make a little bit of money. Well, we got to go for further education. It gives them something to reach for. The majority of these caregivers, these care aides that are in all nursing homes and assisted livings in the state of Virginia, most of them are single moms that are really struggling to get their children off to school every morning and get them home in the evenings and get them to bedtime. So we really at Runk and Pratt try to wrap our arms around these girls as much as we can. And so we offer them a job right after they're finished with their training. They get hired right on the spot, right,
Exactly.
Joyce? Yeah.
Yes. So that's because, what you're saying, they do have a lot going on. It's a lot going on in their personal life. They don't have time to spend 5 days in class from like a 9 to 5 kind of environment. So that's why we break it up. Just a few days a week. You can do a Tuesday, Thursday option. You can do a Monday, Wednesday, Friday option. And you can do that during the day or in the evening so that you can be home, when your kids are getting on the bus or getting off the bus. And the ladder is really a nice way to help them move up without having to go to college.
Exactly, because those children at home are very important, and we understand that. One of the things, Christopher, that we did about 2 years ago, we had the scholarship.
Yes. So essentially, you're getting free training.
Yes.
The scholarship provides $1,000 for anybody that is a resident of Virginia and who plans to stay in Virginia as a nurse aide. So that $1,000 pays for your scholarship. So you're right out of the gate. You don't have debt right out of the gate. So, it's affordable now for everybody, and virtually everybody that comes goes through the scholarship program.
Yes, and the state of Virginia, before Governor Youngkin was elected to his position, they had capped that scholarship opportunity for these girls to just a few months out of the year.
Correct.
And so I had the opportunity to sit with our great governor and just share concern that we needed to expand that because we were in such a care crisis in the state of Virginia. And I was able to just spend some time with him, letting him know that, all across Virginia, I could only imagine that the need would become greater. And so just a little over a year ago, he sent down word, and we written to lots of officials in Richmond saying, hey, we need this, and how much of a step up that's been for these girls. It's been tremendous.
So Joyce, what I hear you saying is there's really, if this is a passion of yours or a field you want, there's no barriers. I mean, with the amount of different classes that we offer, different times, different hybrids, whether you're going online and coming in for clinicals, different times, and now the scholarships, there's no reason that anybody can't take part in this.
Correct. No reason at all. And we do have a $50 application fee that they do. That pays for their background check. They can't go to a facility without that. And so we require that up front. But they don't have to pay for the class until their scholarship comes. So, they're not pressed for, paying right away. You don't have to pay that $1,000 up front.
Important.
Yeah.
And Mom, I know two topics that were really important to you is the fact of we can get these young ladies in and train them in the Runk and Pratt way.
Yes.
To train them with grace and dignity.
Absolutely. One of the things I shared with our governor when I was able to spend time with him, really talking about the need for this, was that we can't expect these young ladies to give care with their hearts, which is what the Runk and Pratt way really is
Right.
We teach these girls to take a step back and to treat these individuals as if they were their own grandparents.
Exactly.
But you can't do that if you have a broken heart yourself. And I say that all the time. You talked about the stresses of their life and the clientele that we have for this particular position, and we really do. And I know, Joyce, you've gone above and beyond with some of these girls to get them over the finish line for graduation. And Christopher, you and I and our family have had a chance to be at some of the graduations and to shake their hands and say, "Well done." And I'm so glad you were able to accomplish this. Now let's go change the
Exactly.
world by giving some really good care. Now I say all that by knowing that we always have some in the group that it's just not for them.
Right.
And so we can hire them, we can train them, but when they get into it, there'll be people that we may lose along the way. And that's just the general, leeway for what we're doing here in healthcare. All across the world, we come in to play with some of those that are in institutions, in communities that are given care that may just not be the best at it. So we would remove them at that time and hope for another career for them. So we're not always perfect. We don't
Right.
always get it right. And because I know we're going to have some listeners that, will remember something. And, nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes.
Yeah.
And these young girls, as they're learning and training, we have to give just a little bit of grace to. But we really do try to put into their minds that it's not just a job. We really want people to come to us that feel like it's their calling.
Exactly. Yes. I can teach them the textbook. I can show them the skills. But if they don't have the care and the passion for it, this is not going to be the job for them.
It's not an easy job.
It is not easy, and you really do have to have a heart for it because it's not easy. There's the residents, the people that you're dealing with, they're sick, they don't feel well. They are probably don't have their best personality showing. But you have to learn to deal with that. And just remember how you feel when you're sick.
That's exactly right.
You're not the best either.
And I love how you teach that program. I've had the opportunity to listen to you and to watch you grow this program. And I think it's important for the girls that are maybe considering this to understand your background and how many years you've had and all the different certificates. Take some time to go through and tell everybody what you've done.
So I have a bachelor's of nursing degree from Old Dominion University and a master's degree from St. Joseph's College in Maine. and that is in Health Services Administration. After being a nurse and a DON, I really wanted to see the other side of things a little bit, and found that the policy, procedure, and just the administrative part is really the part I enjoy as much as teaching those individuals who are interested in joining the nursing force. I enjoy that, preparing them for what is to come, what it's like to be a nurse and provide care. But from administration, I went into really quality and compliance and operations for senior care services at Centra. And I did that for 20 years or more.
And you're doing some of that for us as well.
Exactly, yes.
She wears a couple different hats for us.
Yes.
Well, I can't tell you how proud I am to have you on board. How long did I try to get you to come be with us at Runk and Pratt? It is a long time.
It's been a few years.
Yeah. So I'm glad it was definitely worth the wait. And you have some great registered nurses that are teaching alongside of you. That have taken this on as a calling. A lot of them are retired.
They are.
Yeah.
We've got 5 instructors now, and that gives us a lot of opportunity with the times that we offer the classes. As you mentioned, they are retired. They don't want to work every day. Our students don't want to come every day. They don't want to teach every day.
Yeah.
So it works out well.
That's good.
A nice mix. And all of the nursing instructors have many years of experience. In nursing. They love senior care. They love that resident population. And I think they're able to share not only the textbook, but also their heart for the elderly as well.
And Christopher, you were very instrumental in helping me kick this off in early 2018. We just were so privileged to be able to take an existing program that was with a church, and they weren't able to do the program anymore, and we kind of took it underneath our umbrella. And I remember you buying all the textbooks and setting up all the
Started
IT
it
for
on
them.
ground level.
And so I know this has to be something you're super proud of as well.
It is. And Joyce, we couldn't have a better, partner in this. So we're excited for everything that's coming and that you've already put into place. And thank you for joining us here today around the table. And folks, keep on listening. We'll be joined by Mary Beth Nash, who is the regional director of Runk and Pratt, to talk about downsizing a little bit, moving from your home, and if it's time to maybe start looking at a senior care facility.
That's right.
All right, everybody, welcome back. She just walked into the studio. We're joined by Mary Beth, the regional director of Runk and Pratt. And thank you for being here with us, first off.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
We are going to talk about the topic of maybe when is it right for that community member to start thinking about placement for mom or placement for dad.
Right.
And I can't think of two better people to discuss that topic. Mom, I know just this weekend you were actually on a home site visit, which people may not realize that you actually do, but you are that involved, and I think that's important. But I'll let y'all take it from here.
Oh, yes, it is important. I haven't given up my time with seniors. I'm very involved, and a lot of people will see me doing so many different things that they won't understand that I still work a full-time job with you, Mary Beth, and the two of us, along with an admissions team, and then all the clinical directors underneath you. We run this empire of Runk and Pratt companies, specifically in senior care. It's a great honor for me, and I know you feel the same way. It's an honor for me to get a call from a friend or a church person that says, hey, can you just come look at mom and tell me what you think? And certainly I did have the opportunity to do that this past week. And then I'm reminded of why I was called to do what I do. So it gets me in the field, it gets me in the weeds with what we do. And I come back a better person after I've spent some time with that senior that just needs care. So you and I work really closely together, Mary Beth. And one of the things I thought that would be really important today is to let our listeners and viewers know a few tips that they may want to kind of hone in on if they've got mom, dad, a relative. It's not always mom and dad, sometimes aunt, uncle, brother, sister that we see. And they've got them at home and they're noticing that it's just clinically getting to the point to where mom or dad or that relative can no longer do their activities of daily living. And we see this all the time, don't we?
Absolutely.
Community members coming in. And I sometimes feel like it's harder for the family to adjust to that group living than it is the resident, because the resident kind of gets that, oh, I can finally not have to do so much on my own. How do you feel about that?
I absolutely agree. It is never too early to start the process of looking. And we would always encourage you to look around at options, explore what's best for your loved one. You may have a neighbor or a family friend that says, I really love this particular place or that particular environment, but it's important to really capture the needs of your loved one and find the best place for them.
Right.
And starting that early, doing the homework, identifying the signs early, even if it's subtle things at home, repetitive behavior, medication management.
Anxiety.
Oh, yes.
Anxiety, I find so much, especially for our women. Our aging women have so many issues with anxiety. They may have just lost a spouse that did everything from them, even just coming down to pumping gas in their car. And now all of a sudden they're faced with a whole new set of fears, and that just lends itself to all these medical issues that can, start coming on full-fledged too. And you and I get to experience a lot of this. We get a lot of new admissions in all of our communities monthly. And so the faces of our communities change on a regular basis. And then we have some that have been with us for 10 plus years, and we get to know them. Family involvement and the family identity to that resident, then blending with our staff is super important. Talk a little bit about that.
It is very important that when you're ready to make that transition, it's important for the loved one to see that you now have support in a group setting to help you with the activities of daily living that you may have previously had a daughter, a son, a church friend, someone helping with groceries. Once you move, it's kind of it's relief from the burden that we have team members to identify this, team members to identify that. We have structured activities, we have structured dining. So it's very important that when you make the move, that the resident is able to immerse themselves in the daily routine to get a feel for what it's about, to start trusting our team members, believing in while they're there, and help them every day with little tasks at home that were very challenging.
I've always said it takes a good 3 months for an individual to really adjust to the schedule,
absolutely,
and to the new faces, and to the fact that we're going to come in and offer to help you put that shirt on because you can't reach behind yourself anymore. We're going to buckle the bra for these ladies, and that's been a big deal because a lot of them can't anymore.
Absolutely.
And for these men, we're going to come and make sure you're shaven, and we're going to make sure you smell good for the day, because so much of that just really delivers spiritual, so much growth inside because they've been left at home and maybe they didn't get to do those things. It's like a spiritual experience because I look good, I smell good, I'm ready to go out and develop new friendships, which are so important. We encourage that. It's also important for that family to encourage that resident to get out of their room, participate in life, because we have so much going on in each community. Some people will say, well, what is your best community to live in? Don't you think that each one of our communities have their own personality?
Absolutely. Every single community has its own personality, its own feel, its own culture.
That's why it's almost important before that need starts that you have that time with mom or dad to tour each facility. And if it's not a Runk and Pratt facility, it's still important to go tour.
Yes.
Ask the questions, the hard questions. Ask to see the licensure inspections reports. Now, sometimes we get hit for little tiny things, and a family member might look at it and say, oh, that's a terrible, but it's just the inspector's jobs to go in and find those things. We may be in the middle of something when they come in, and so we'll get dinged for little things. But it's important that families understand we're licensed by the state of Virginia. We get regular inspections. We have a group of regulations that we have to go by. There's things you can bring when mom and dad comes in, and there's things you have to leave at home.
Correct.
It's not us trying to strip them from their belongings. It's just part of being in the regulatory routine for the state of Virginia.
That's indeed correct.
Yes. So what are some of the other things that you see in your everyday, because you go from one facility to the next, and we're always putting out fires or trying to make a new resident feel comfortable, whether that means changing the color of the wall because, dad's in a pink room and we need to change it to a blue room or whatever. Those little things we really try to make sure that we're putting a lot of importance on that.
with the transition, sometimes independence becomes most challenging, and understanding that it is okay to be relieved of the burden of administering your own medicines, that it's okay to fall in line with the schedule, that it's okay if you need a hospital bed when at home you had a full-size bed because things have changed, that it's a safety concern, not a dignity concern, and that we walk that journey with you to provide what you need without there being judgment. There
And
being
there's so
staff.
many inside that community that experiencing the same symptoms that the new residents having, but yet they may feel like they're being, like you said, their dignity is being questioned and their ability to be self-functioning is being questioned. And I encourage, our staff is trained that if that resident can pick out her clothes for the day, you let her pick out
Absolutely.
those clothes, because those choices really, really matter. If the pants doesn't match the shirt, it's okay. She chose to wear that.
Correct.
And so we're going to respect that she still has the ability. Now, we may have to put the clothes on for her, but she made one choice that day.
Correct.
Our staff is really trained that way.
Correct. And she may repeat the same favorite shirt a few times in that week.
We just got to wash it more often.
And that's okay. We wash it more often. We return it so that she can wear it 3 or 4 days a week because that's what makes her happy.
Right.
And Mom, hopefully listeners can tell, I know I can tell the level of detail that you are asking these questions and bringing up specific examples. I don't think people quite realize how involved you are on a daily basis. There is no weekend in healthcare. It's 24/7.
Yeah.
It's been that way for you for 33 years now. And I know, because I'm involved on that level with you as well. I know how many end of the day reports we get from every single facility, every admin, the level of excellence that you hold them all to. I know you and Mary Beth specifically have a very tight bond because you're talking about these specific individual residents' cases and their family members and what's best for them daily, if not every minute, quite honestly.
No, we
do. I know that's always been family owned and operated, but even at the level that we are today, I don't think listeners realize quite maybe how involved you are every single day. And I can say it's amazing to watch you work, and I'm proud of you.
Thank you, honey. Well, it's funny because if a family is having an issue, 9 times out of 10, I already know about that issue. But then I'll get this email like, I just needed you to be aware.
Yes.
And I'm like, I've already been aware.
Yes.
But he's correct. Each one of our administrators in every building is required to send you and I both
Correct.
an end of the day report. Now, different administrators are more talented with that report than others. I get some that write a book, and then I get some, we just got some points, and that's fine as long as the information is relayed. At that point, you and I can hop on that email, and I'll take care of the things that are concerning to me. We'll try to problem solve if there are any problems to solve. We'll get on the phone with each other if we need to, and we try to take every day and solve every issue that we see so that it doesn't compile through time.
Absolutely.
It's really important to me as an owner that developed this 33 years ago. This nursing program isn't a whole lot different than what I wrote 33 years ago. We've stood really close and tight to those early years of conception with nursing. Now, we've had to change with regulation through the years, but people like Mary Beth and so many others underneath you really understand the mission of what we're trying to do here. And I'll say this, I've said this before, I'll say it again, we are not perfect.
Correct.
The people that we employ will make mistakes.
Absolutely.
But on the level of leadership and ownership, we're always going to be there to correct it. And if it's a relationship between a family and leadership that just can't be corrected, we don't hold any ties to any kind of notice. We let people go immediately and find the environment that's best for them, because that's what I want. I want what's best for them. So it's been a joy through the years to service literally thousands in this area, along with great people like Mary Beth.
Oh, thank you.
Well, Mary Beth, thank you for joining us on the show today. It's been a fun talk, and between the nursing school and Runk and Pratt, Mom, your vision of pulling it all together, from giving staff the ability to grow and taking care of seniors, it's amazing, the program you've created. But it's sadly it's that time at the end of the show, and I know you like to end each show with a quote, so the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, everybody, for listening. And hopefully something that we've said today will speak to you, or you can always call us, 434-237-2268, www.runkandpratt.com, and we will be happy to try to at least help you, lead you, and direct in the right way. Today, I took a quote from Coretta Scott King, and we've really been talking about when you come from your community to ours. And this really, really is a great quote for today. It says, "The greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of its members." And I love that so much, because we just talked about the fact that we really try to instill in our staff the importance of having compassion. So until next time, I'm Vickie Runk, and we'll see you around the table again.